So let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Today's topic, friendship. Let's talk about friendship. Where do I want to start with this now? Comment. What do you want to know? What do you want to know? So let me tell you this. When you know your value, when you know your worth, you are comfortable with setting boundaries. What is a boundary? A boundary is just like when you have a house. You got a gate around the house. The gate around the house is the boundary protecting the house. If you go through the gate, you're trespassing. If you don't have permission to enter. Why? Because there's a boundary set around the house. There's a gate. So you got gates. And I'm not want to get too spiritual in this, but so in the natural, so in the spiritual, listen, I want you to get this. So I'm trying to break it down so that you truly understand. Your boundaries to protect you. Your boundary is you putting in place what you allow and what you don't, what you're comfortable with and what you don't. And often in time, why relationships, friendships break down is because you didn't set clear boundaries. You didn't communicate what was acceptable and what was not acceptable. Who am I speaking to? So often in times when the boundaries are broken, or if you didn't set boundaries in the beginning and now you're trying to set healthy boundaries, you often can see there'll be separation because that person was used to them having no perimeters. They was able to do what they want when they pleased because there was no boundaries set in place. So a boundary, you can have boundaries when it comes to your money, boundaries when it comes to your time, you understand? Boundaries when it comes to what you do, what you don't do, what you allow and what you don't allow. So then for a boundary to be set, you have to be willing to say no. And your no is a whole sentence. Like if I say no, there don't need to be no explanation. It's just no. A no is a complete sentence, and you got to be bold and content with that. And you got to stand firm in that, or you'll get walked over. So you got to know the value that you carry and what you bring to the table. Who am I speaking to? Am I empowering somebody today to know the power of their no? So let your no be no and your yes be yes. Why? Because you don't want to end up people pleasing. And oftentimes that's what we end up doing. Because we're afraid of rejection, we end up doing things that we don't want to do, that we're not comfortable doing because we want to keep that person in our lives. You know, your gut feeling is saying, I really don't want to go. But because you don't want to disappoint the person, you would rather please them than please yourself. And don't get me wrong, in every friendship relationship, there is, negotiating and compromising and so forth. But when you have your core values and you set your boundaries, then you know who's supposed to be in your life and not. Because if they keep breaking your boundaries, they're not supposed to be in your life. You need to know how to disconnect and love them from a distance. They don't need to have that same access that they had previously because they're not respecting your boundaries. They're not respecting your values. They're not supporting who you are and who you're becoming. So when you know you're a good friend, you set your boundaries, they respect your boundaries. You empower, you encourage one another, you communicate. And it's enriching to do so. Friendships are beautiful, when they're respected. And you gotta know, because a lot of time, because, you love You're loyal. You expect everybody to be the same, but they're not. You can show up to all their events. You can support all what they're doing. But the moment when it comes to you, they don't show up. And as a loving and adult person, those things hurt. They dig deep, but you don't verbalize how you feel. This is your season to speak. And if you don't see a change, then you know it's time to disconnect. Because sometimes people are not even aware of that, how selfish they are. People are not even aware how selfless you have been. Because they always expect that of you. So the moment you start saying no, you're going to see, they're going to start manifesting. Oh, when I started saying no, I see some people manifest. I was like, damn, we're going to cast that devil out of you. Get behind thee. But all fun and jokes aside, I pray that this little word of encouragement today inspires you to do that self-inventory and write down your goals, write down your core values, write down where you're heading, where you aspire to be. And then it will be so much easier for you to stand firm in setting these healthy boundaries. Because if it's not in alignment with your goals, with your plans, with where you're going, then you know it's not serving you. Sometimes you got to learn how to categorize people. And that's okay. Not everybody's anointed to be your friend. Not everybody can carry the weight of your friendship. And that's okay. But a lot of us, you're trying to make your mentees your friends. You're trying to make your assignment your friend. You're trying to marry your assignment. So this is why it's so important to go through that process of healing, to go through that process of letting go, so that you don't people please, and so that you truly begin to walk in your purpose. And you, because of loneliness, instead of building, you end up breaking. I pray that will not be your portion, but you will build effectively in this season. And many of you are going through the rebuilding because of past mistakes, and that's okay. But this time, rebuild well and do it God's way. Not your way, but God's way. Because many of us came out of alignment with the assignment because of our flesh. Because we didn't crucify our flesh. It was moving by our flesh and our emotions instead of the Spirit of God, and staying in alignment with the plans and that God has for us. So pray over your relationships. Pray over your relationship. Pray over your friendships. Discerning this season who sent you. What's your motive? What is your motive? Who sent you? And then you got to know within yourself, how am I serving this person? And how is this person serving me? What is my assignment in this friendship? What is my assignment in this relationship? What is my role that I'm playing? Is this somebody that I'm pouring into? Is this somebody that I'm encouraging? Is this somebody that I'm there to yield from, that I'm there to learn from, that I'm there to be poured into from? You got to know the relationship, because I always say there's 3 tiers to relationships. You've got those where you aspire to be, that are your mentors, that are your leaders, that are your guides, that are pouring into you. You've got those on the same level as you, that are your peers, that you encourage, that they encourage you. You can support one another. Then you've got those that you pour into, that are not where you are, that are looking up to you to inspire, to empower, to pour into them. But you got to make sure that you discern what level people are at, because you could be trying to get something from somebody that they don't just have the capacity to give you. They don't have the capacity to love you like that. They don't have the capacity to serve you in that way. They don't have the capacity to play that role that you are requiring them to play.